It's been UK policy for decades that Iran can never be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. Over the weekend, the US removed to alleviate that threat. Now, we need to make sure that the ceasefire holds and seize this opportunity to stabilize the region and get Iran back round the negotiating table with the United States. Ultimately, this is how we will ensure a complete, verifiable, and irreversible end to Iran's nuclear program. And we are using every diplomatic lever to support this effort. I'm in close contact with leaders across the region, and yesterday I spoke to the Emir of Qatar to express our solidarity after Iran's reckless attack on the Al Adaya base. While we work to lower the temperature in the Middle East, we will not for a moment lose focus on Ukraine, whose people endured further Russian strikes overnight and for many nights consecutively. Nor will we lose focus on the rising threats to Euro-Atlantic security. In the face of those threats, I've long argued that this is the moment to unite, for Europe to make a fundamental shift in its posture, and for NATO to meet this challenge head on. And that is what we have done today. With the UK at the forefront, NATO allies have agreed a new defence investment pledge, raising defence and security spending to 5% of GDP by 2035, making NATO stronger, fairer, and more lethal than ever. This includes military spending, as well as vital investments in our security and resilience, like protecting our cybersecurity and our energy networks. Allies also agreed that because the threats are constantly evolving, we will review this pledge in 2029. The new national security strategy sets out our plans and priorities across these areas. So under the NATO new definitions, we estimate that we will reach at least 4.1% of GDP in 2027, keeping the British people safe and strengthening our leadership in NATO even further. This summit has sent a decisive message to aggressors, and that must be matched by our commitment to Ukraine. And that's why I've announced this week that the UK is providing hundreds more air defence missiles to protect the Ukrainian people, paid for not by the British taxpayer, but with money from frozen Russian assets. Last year, NATO allies pledged 40 billion euros of military aid for Ukraine. This year, Europe, Canada, and our Indo-Pacific partners will match that 40 billion commitment euros again for 2025. We are no longer just talking about burden sharing, we're delivering it in every area. And now we must seize the opportunity this creates to use this investment as a job-creating machine to renew our country, making working people better off and strengthen our security at the same time. So today, as the latest in a series of new investments, I can announce that we will procure at least 12 F-35A fast jets, and we will make these UK aircraft available to bear nuclear weapons if necessary. Our continuous at-sea deterrent has long been declared to NATO alliance. And with this announcement, we're going further in response to growing nuclear threat. It marks the return of the RAF to nuclear deterrence for the first time in 3 decades, representing the biggest strengthening of our deterrence posture in a generation. And it will support no less than 20,000 jobs across the United Kingdom. Our commitment to NATO is unshakable, and so is our determination that greater security for our country must go hand in hand with better lives for working people. Thank you. And now I will take some questions from the media, and I think I'm starting with Beth.
Thank you. Prime Minister, you say that you will not lose focus on Ukraine, but there's no condemnation of Russia's war on Ukraine in the joint communique, something that has been in previous statements when Biden was in the White House. Is that because President Trump didn't want NATO to condemn Putin? And are you disappointed by that? And on your welfare bill back home, it's shaping up to be a huge test of your authority. If you can't govern your party, how do you govern the country? Thank you.
Well, on the question of Ukraine, the position in NATO has not changed, nor has my position changed. In fact, over the last couple of days, I would say in my discussions with leaders, there's been a real resolve that now is the time to push again to get Putin to the table for the unconditional ceasefire. President Zelensky has, for many weeks now, indicated his willingness to go to an unconditional ceasefire. Now is the time for Putin, who's been dragging his heels, to come to the table. And there's been a lot of discussions with other leaders about seizing that moment to push forward on that initiative. On the question of welfare reform, we're committed to reforming our welfare system. It doesn't work, it traps people, and it has to be reformed. And it also has to ensure that we've got a welfare system that is fit for the future. And that is why there will be a vote, and we will press ahead with the reforms. Thank you.